You might be looking forward to some big basketball games coming up on TV this weekend, or maybe it's going to be some training that you're going through with your fellow teachers, or you have some folks from your office that just want to get together and you don't want to bother with doing all the cooking. Well, the Chick-fil-A folks in Morehead City can help you out with that. Chick-fil-A Morehead City has a suggested catering menu that can take care of crowds from 8 to 800. And if you want to find out more about it, just give them a call at 247-7281 or go to the Chick-fil-A of Morehead City's website, chickenatthebeach.com. The full catering menu is right there. All the different options are out there, and it's great. So great for customers to make it easy for them to decide what they might want to pick up from Chick-fil-A or have it delivered too. Chick-fil-A of Morehead City and catering option is maybe the perfect option for your next gathering. 247-7281 or chickenatthebeach.com. We saw an article or a news story on this next subject and found it intriguing for a lot of ways. We think that there's some good sides and maybe not some good sides to this idea of banning dog tethering in Craven County. And when we mentioned it and mentioned the name of the person who's behind the petition, one of our listeners, who we fondly call Chris from Vanceboro, let us know that he knows this person, and so asked that they could come on with us and we could talk more about it. So Tyker Gonzales joins us now. Good morning, Tyker. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you doing?
It's great to have you with us. We saw this in WCTI News Journal reporting on this story. So what is your idea of this petition?
Okay, it's a twofold process, actually. One is the tethering, and the other is to further define what adequate food, water, and shelter are, so it makes prosecution of neglected or abused animals easier.
Yeah, the intention, I think, is wonderful. We need to do what we can to protect animals from being abused. We've had too many stories where people have raided a house and they found all these animals either inside or outside. Especially we found them after hurricanes and storms where a dog was tied up, no food or water, or blown away even, and it's just awful.
Or drowned.
Yeah. So let's talk about the dog tethering part first. I had a lab, and we tried tethering her at first, and we put her on a run, and we come home and it'd be all tangled up around a tree, and we ended up with an underground fence, and it worked out very well. She actually adapted extremely well to that. So, but this is a property issue too. I mean, you're talking about how would you enforce a tethering rule?
Okay, well, I've done a ton of research, of course, and with the property rule. I've had a little bit of blowback from good conservative friends of mine. I am conservative as well. Say, oh, well, we have too many rules already. This is my property. What kills me is we don't have any problems enforcing ordinances when somebody's opened up a junkyard next door.
Right.
We just did an ordinance for solar farms. When we do these things, because they are eyesores or they affect our pocketbooks, everybody's on board. But when you're talking about a living and breathing creature, all of a sudden, oh, no, it's my property. I can do what I want. So I have a real issue with that mindset. I have seen, my husband and I are both past animal cruelty investigators for Craven County, and I used to be the president of the Humane Society in Craven County 20 years ago. BC, I say before children.
Right.
So with that said, we have seen horrendous things. We adopted a dog from the shelter that had a rubber band that had grown into her neck 2 inches because somebody put her outside and had her tied up and figured the rubber band would keep her from going anywhere. Yeah. We also found a pit bull lab mix that had gotten off its chain, chained in the woods. It had wrapped itself around so many trees, it was stuck on the ground. It had snowed that day. It was nothing but skin and bones.
But these are again the egregious examples that we have that saying here. These are folks that you throw away the key. But somebody's going to go to the store, so they put their dog on a tether around a tree, and they're going to be back in half an hour. Should they be violating the law?
No. I have neighbors of mine that have their dogs in the house, and in order to use the bathroom, they put them out on a tether for 15 and 20 minutes. That's not a part of this. That's going to be an exemption in this law. If you're training dogs and you need to tether them for a bit for training. That's not going to be a part of this law. There's the point of this law is anybody that's going to chain their dog up as a way of life. Yep. That is the purpose of this law. Mm-hmm. That is not right. I'll go a little step further. In North Carolina, there has been 33 chain dog attacks on children. 33. 6 of those 33 died. Mm-hmm. Even the USDA has gone as far in the Animal Welfare Act to say any animal that's taken, any dog, that's taken over state lines cannot be chained because they consider it an inhumane practice. The CDC and AVMA say the same thing.
Okay, now I think the tethering rule is the easiest of these. Now, if you're looking at the adequate water and food issue, for example, I had a doggy door that would go into my garage and from the back of the house, and it was wooded all around the house, so you wouldn't be able to see it. But if you were coming into the front yard or looking around, you would look and say, well, where's that dog's food bowl? You wouldn't be able to tell. So how would you, again, what right would you have to go and look around the property for it?
Okay, well, as a cruelty investigator, you can't go on someone's property unless it's in plain sight. I mean, if you can see somebody's stuff from the neighbor's yard and the neighbor allows you to be there, that's okay. If you can stand on the street from public property and see it, that's fine too. Most of the time, you get calls on these cases, and you go out, you knock on the door, and, I've had a call, we'd like to see your dog. Sometimes they allow you, sometimes they don't. Mm-hmm. So there's rules regarding that. As far as adequate shelter, that means 3 walls and a roof. Mm-hmm. And it also means something that's up off the ground, so when we get these horrendous rainstorms, as we have been, seems like for the last 2 years, the water isn't able to run into the doghouse, which allows them nowhere to lay that's dry. One of the problems with tethering is, and as a way of life, is the dogs, and you'll see there's, the grass is wore down. There is no grass anymore, and you'll see holes all over the place.
Been there, done that, yeah.
Right. And not only that, but this is where the dogs use the bathroom. Mm-hmm. So the dog is constantly walking around and laying down in its own feces and urine.
Again, I think that the tethering one is the easiest the one to do, because, again, that might be able to be witnessed from some time away. But the example I gave is a real-life example. Nobody would know from mine. But they'd see the dog out front. They wouldn't see any water. They wouldn't see any access. Wouldn't see a dog house or anything else.
We found dogs that were chained in the woods that nobody knew were there.
But you already have some cruelty regulations. So how would this? I'm all in favor of the awareness side. Mm-hmm, let's train people to not do this. Let's train people to offer to make sure they do have the food and water. We even talked about in our pet show, which we have on Thursdays. We talked about about mold in food and not putting it into containers that stay there all the time because they can get bugs and all that kind of stuff. So so that awareness, but I don't know how you codify that. I don't know how you make that into a law that's only enforceable if there is a complaint.
Right. Well, and I mean that's the case.
Because isn't that enforceable now?
There's thousands of animals in Craven County and all over North Carolina, as we all know. And the only way we're going to find out about it is if somebody reports it. It's just like the child welfare. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. I mean, we're not going to know if a child is abused or neglected unless somebody sees something and reports it, and animal welfare is the same exact way.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it is now, and it's awfully difficult with child welfare now to enforce those laws and make those right. So I'm not sure how this adds to what is already available for, as you said, animal cruelty complaints.
Okay, when you take a case to court, and you're trying to explain to the judge, okay, we're trying to prove neglect with this animal, and the statute just says adequate food, water, and shelter. Mm-hmm. Well, what is adequate food, water, and shelter? Well, many North Carolina counties have gone to define. So, and Iredell County is a beautiful example, and they spell it out as far as.
I used to have a dog in Iredell County, yeah, so.
Well, there you go. And it's for example, for water, it's a constant access to a supply of clean, fresh water suitable for drinking, and adequate food. Provision of stable intervals not to exceed 24 hours of a quantity of a wholesome foodstuff suitable for the species and the age, which is very important. And I already explained to you the shelter about the 3 sides and a roof. So when you go to a judge now and you say, okay, judge, we found this dog. They showed us the dog food. Here's pictures of it. It's full of pink mold and green mold. This is not adequate food according to our statute.
Well, I'm going to say that once again, these are after the fact. But how do you prevent the cruelty with any of these any of these laws?
Honey, if I knew that, I'd be sitting on the moon. How do we prevent cruelty to anything?
Yeah,
if we could
prevent if people are evil, they're going to be evil.
Yeah. We can pray. We can, and God will show us things, and people call. There's a lot of good people that'll call, and some of them want to remain anonymous, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
But we have to operate with what God shows us and what we find, and go from there. That's all we can do.
Yeah. Actually, you made a point there. Will Crime Stoppers, do they accept animal cruelty complaints?
I'm sure they probably do, because it's linked to the sheriff's department.
Okay, I'm just curious about that. Well, anyway, we want to follow this, so you're welcome to join us again and let us know how this is going, because we like to follow this, because we certainly want to see animal cruelty decreased and eliminated in our lifetime. We'd love to see that, along with our children too. This is Coastal Daybreak here on the Talk Station. Thank you for joining us this morning, and we'll talk to you again soon. We'll have more to come in just a moment.